Yo, what is up? Welcome back to Georgia Sports Central. It's your boy ACS on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all things that are sports. And what's good, y'all? Got a couple things. Obviously, Super Bowl 59 is in the books. We'll give my thoughts on what took place this past Sunday. Got some Falcons news, as always. A little bit of off-season stuff going on. A couple lists, couple mock drafts we might get into. The Hawks, man, trying to turn it around, right? They had that long losing streak. Got a couple in a row. We'll talk about that. It's a little bit too as well. And anything else that comes up, right? Got a little bit of Braves news out there, a little bit of news for Georgia Tech as well. And we'll just jump into it, y'all. Let's have a good conversation. Let's have a good episode. This is Georgia Sports Central on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all things that are sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Georgia Sports Central. I'm your boy ACS on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all things that are sports. And what's up, y'all? What is up? What is up? Like I said, in the opening, got a couple things. Obviously, when you get to this time of year, it's right in between football season and baseball season, and there's like this weird sort of we got some lists. This is the time of year we start to see those mock drafts and things of that nature, right? Come out of like ESPN and things of that. And we got to go look at a couple of those because I think it's some interesting things there. We just had a big game, y'all. Big game on Sunday. Obviously, the end of football season officially. It was Sunday night. We saw the the Philadelphia Eagles straight clap the cheeks off the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Like, I think America rejoiced on Sunday evening. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong now. Everything that I've seen sports-wise when it comes to the Super Bowl, besides, Chiefs fans who are upset about the loss or whatever, says everybody else is celebrating. Everybody else is rejoicing, which is insane considering it's the end of football season and we got, we got some stuff coming. When it comes to that nature, like the draft is coming up soon, the combine at the end of this month. So there's some football stuff coming, but the actual on-field play that we have become accustomed to since like September is gone for a minute, right? So when I say people were rejoicing, that's in the fall of the Chiefs, right? Like that's literally what that was. But I'm gonna talk about it real quick, considering it is sports and sort of my thoughts on what took place Sunday night. That was an ass whooping, man. I have zero idea what type of game plan Kansas City came into that thing with, but it looked like their train was derailed from the jump, from very first snaps that they took offensively. It was like, yo, what what was y'all's plan coming into this? Because what the Eagles did was what everybody said they should do, which is just play their game, not go for anything fancy, don't change anything up, don't do anything differently than what's helped you get to this point, right? When you're the Chiefs, you can't do that, man. You're the defending champs. People are coming for you. They're coming for blood, man. You can't stick to your guns because I think if that's what they were attempting to do, they should have known in the first drive that was not going to work. Like you're going to have some pushback on your original game plan, considering how the Eagles were able to straight eviscerate your offensive line with 4 dudes. Didn't blitz not one time in the entire game, which is insane in retrospect, thinking about being able to take a team down like the Chiefs in the fashion that they did. And they rushed 4 dudes all game. 4. What, man, that defensive tape is going to be studied by coaches, guarantee you, for the very near future. Just to see if they can replicate. I mean, obviously you need the players, those big Georgia boys up front that they got on that team. It's been well publicized how many players from the University of Georgia were part of that Super Bowl team. Shouts out to them guys. You know what I'm saying? Out there doing their thing, bro. Doing their thing. Yeah, from start to finish, pretty much. And then to add to that, when you thought the Eagles might calm it down and just start running that thing to get that clock shortened up, they throwing bombs, man. You know what I'm saying? Devontae Smith catching bombs from Jalen Hurts, man. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, shouts out. Played tremendously well. I thought, look, he played well the first time they played in the Super Bowl, right? Everybody knows about his statistics when it came to that first Super Bowl against Kansas City a few years ago. played well. As a matter of fact, he was the most valuable player I thought in that entire game. But of course, they don't give that to the losing team often. Matter of fact, it's only been done one time before. Can't remember the Cowboys player who won it, but they had lost the Super Bowl and won. Dude got the MVP. But anyway, yeah, man, they excuse me, I had to lost my train of thought real quick. But yeah, it was thorough and out coached too, man. Again, when you look at the ratio of pass plays to run plays that Kansas City ran, it's like, bro, what do you? At some point in time, man, I mean, like, I think they only had like 7 scripted runs that they called. You know what I'm saying? Fresh from the huddle. I'm like, man, I know it's tough, man, the Eagles, but you gotta try to do something else. And I think Kansas City's inability to adjust offensively when it came to picking plays and running those things was one of the things that led to their downfall when it came to this game. Man, what a I mean, you saw it, man. You saw it. And then to add it, to put, I think, the punctuation on top, the strip sack that happened at the end toward the end of the game, and then Patrick Mahomes literally got punched in the face. Literally, Jordan Davis punched him in the face. 2 hands to the face. I would surmise that he'd probably catch a fine from the NFL for that. But I'm pretty sure he'll pay. The Eagles will probably pay that fine for him, considering. And look, man, look. We all talked about it. I know I talked about it on last week's show, and I've said it over whatever when it comes to the Chiefs. Like, you know, it's a thing where in sports there's hate. There's hate watching. There's that's what they call it these days, right? You watch a game just seething for a certain team to lose, and sort of I'll tell you a little story real quick. Let's go back. When it came to this game, right? I remember very, very vividly, because I was in Afghanistan when I watched it, the Super Bowl between the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm sure you guys remember it well. I have always, ever since I saw what happened in that game, I have always had that thought. And then when Ray Lewis came out and said that thought on America's Game, you know, that little special that the NFL Network puts together for Super Bowl winning teams, and it stuck with me, and I'll never. Nobody can convince me of otherwise of this conspiracy theory type deal that I'm going into right now. Right? You can't convince me otherwise. The power got cut off in that game. If you remember correctly, in New Orleans, the power went out in that dome, and it at the time that the power went out, the Baltimore Ravens were laying the smacketh on the 49ers, bro. Like, it was looking like a blowout. And I've always said that when it comes to stuff like this, that they're sponsors, man. And I'll get into this at another day. It's another topic. I think that's one of the reasons why Kirby got with one loss last year. I think I mentioned something about this last week. When one loss last year was just exited out of the entire playoff. Right, number 1 all season, get beat one time, and we're just not even worthy enough to stay in the top 4. Insane, right? Insane. And I think that had something to do with the year before. There's the sponsorships involved. There's money that changes hands. When you know, anybody who buys ad time in the Super Bowl, sort of, your ad is playing in the 3rd and 4th quarters. You would like for the game to be close. You would like for as many eyes on that game as possible, man. Hey, Taryn, what's good, bro? Appreciate you, man. And you would like that, yeah. And I think when it comes to some of these things, what blowouts don't bode well for advertisers, right? You pay, I don't remember how much the Super Bowl spot was, but you pay that much money for your little 30-second spot to play at the beginning of the 4th quarter. And then when you turn around and look, and there's like half your viewership is gone because the score is a blowout, right? And I think that's something similar to what happened in that Super Bowl that I just now mentioned, the one between the Ravens and the 49ers. The power went out. I'm telling you, conspiracy theorists, I got my tinfoil hat on underneath this Georgia hat right now. I will forever believe that the NFL cut the power off in that game because it was getting out of hand. And of course, you saw what happened once the power came back on. The 49ers caught a little groove, and they made the game close. And it turned out to be a good Super Bowl at the end, right? You know, controversial call when it comes to pass interference right there at the very end. But, yeah, and that's what I think. And so, like, but this game was getting out of hand, dude. It was 34-0. 34-0 when Jalen Hurts hit Devontae Smith with that strike, right? Nobody was cutting this game off, though, y'all. See, there was no worry out there that the viewership would go down for this game, y'all. There was no worry when the score started getting a little lopsided that people would tune out. See, the American public was here for the Chiefs' downfall. If you didn't already know it and you ain't in no any kind of sports groups on any kind of social media, if you just follow any kind of anything sports related, you would know that the American public was here for the Chiefs' downfall. Like, they were just here for it. And so nobody was tuning out in that game. It could have been 70-0, and the viewership in the fourth quarter would probably have been more than when the game kicked off. People were just here for it, man. They just were. And that's why, like, hey, look, man, that's just it was befitting of the wishes of what, football fans wanted to see, man. It's what they, it's what they wanted to see. And I'll be honest with you before I move on to some to this Field Yates mock draft that he has out here. When I can't recall, and there were some times, obviously the Patriots had like this 20-year run of dominance. I do recall sometimes there would be some hate out there, but I have never seen collectively football fans want a team to lose as bad as what I saw this past weekend, man. Like, if you are anyway, and if you're watching this show, obviously you're probably a sports fan, right? You saw it out there, and it, like, to see that, dude, it was seething hate from football fans, from sports fans in general. Everybody except for Chiefs fans wanted what happened on Sunday. And that's crazy, man. That's crazy, because I've never seen it that unified of a voice against one team is outrageous. But yeah, so there you have it, man. Shouts out, man. Congrats to Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what the future looks like for them. They got a lot of moves to make. Obviously, some of the pieces that really, really contributed to their Super Bowl win and this season, they have to re-sign and things of that nature. So who knows what happens with them going forward. I'm sure we'll get news. I mean, free agency is about to be ramping up and things of that nature, and we'll start getting some news out there after that. That's what I'm saying. Like, this little period of time in between, like the Super Bowl and like baseball season is very like static. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's slow, but then something might happen, and then you have, obviously looming. First free agent move. Kellen Moore, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. We all knew that was coming. There was talk of that. I think no distraction, though. I mean, I've been very vocal about my thoughts about the Lions coordinators being so public about their interviews and all of that stuff that took place before they even played their first playoff game. And I think that might have been a little bit of a distraction. People say, no, it's not a distraction. Yeah. Both both your coordinators are out here doing interviews while y'all should be game prepping. And those coordinators were hot. They would have waited. Those teams would have waited for them two guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Put your focus on the team. Focus. And I think the Kellen Moore stuff's been going around for a long time anyway, just because the Saints were the only team left without a head coach. And that dude was the one guy out there that was left that was sort of on that level that you knew he was going to get a head coaching job and that he was going to jump right into that spot. So that's pretty much like the news that's coming with it. That as far as anything new offseason, like I said, let's jump into some Falcons news real quick. There's Field Yates got the first mock draft that hit since the Super Bowl. Like, really, basically just popped up like right after the Super Bowl. Once we got the picks were finalized, right? You knew Philadelphia was going to be in that final spot, and then Kansas City was going to be in that next to last in the first round spot. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think we have any duplicate picks in the first round this year. I think every team has a pick, and there's no, from trades or what have you that have happened before. But Phil Yates, man, shouts out, says he thinks Tennessee Titans with the number one pick is going to pick Travis Hunter, which I neither here nor there. I'm pretty sure they're going to pick him. He's an athlete. He's good. He's Heisman Trophy winner. I don't see why they wouldn't. Because I guess they're going to go with Will Levis. Who knows? Oh, yeah. Miami's Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders could be in the mix. Number 2, Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to get Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State, right? Led the league or led all NCAA football in sacks and things of that nature. Let's see. And will Myles Garrett run that trade and stuff like that. New York Giants, Cam Ward. They said they're going to grab Cam Ward with that pick. So, Jameis, New England Patriots said they're going to get Will Campbell, offensive tackle. Let's go down. Let's go find us our Atlanta Falcons, man. Let's find these homies at number 15 pick. Said they're going to get Mike Green, edge rusher. My bad. I meant this is the dude that led the NCAA. Green led the country with 17 sacks in 2024, so he can get home to the quarterback. The Falcons need some of that after finishing with 31 sacks, last place in the league pretty much. and training for Matthew Judon was supposed to help, but he had only 5.5 sacks and is now a free agent. Who knows if that dude's going to get re-signed? Again, no moves have been made since the Super Bowl. Green, meanwhile, combines an explosive first step with knockback power and an arsenal of pass rush moves. Dude's a beast, man. Dude's an animal. So, and in his biggest test of the past season, he sacked Ohio State's Will Howard on a nasty spin move coming off the left side of the defense. Excuse me just a second. Throw getting kind of dry. Yeah, so that's what it's saying. Atlanta Falcons at number 15 go with Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. And then there's really nothing else out here. I see Tampa Bay. I see James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. A lot of edge rushers in the draft, man. A lot of Jackson Dart to the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. That sounds a little bit okay. Looks like they're moving on from Russell Wilson. Justin Fields is still there, I suppose. And again, I mean, both of those guys are free agents, but there's who knows who's coming back. Whether I know Russell Wilson is probably not going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers next year. I think that's been confirmed. But Justin Fields is still on the table, and so it's looking like they might get Jackson Dart in the draft, which would be nice for them, I guess. Packers go with Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, Kentucky. Nice. And then let's see the final two picks. Obviously, Kansas City, Donovan Jackson, offensive tackle guard from Ohio State. Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to get Jahad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama. They like them SEC boys in Philadelphia. So that might be somebody they might go with. And also what you get this time of year is the way too early power rankings for next season as they stack up, considering what the Super Bowl is just in the books. And they got Kansas City at number one. Number one, yes, the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, but they still have a loaded roster. General Manager Brett Veach says our free agency will be our draft in the offseason with regard to key player acquisition. So, look, they obviously they're going to be in the draft. Every team's going to be in the draft, but it looks like the goal of the Kansas City Chiefs is to get players from free agency, right? They got some cap room, I'm guessing, some little stuff out there. And they always seem to do a good job. I mean, that's one thing, man. You can hate on the Chiefs all you want. They've done a good job this past few years of getting like these players that are just like really good. We'll sign you for a season or two, man. A la like with Bill Belichick. I always said Bill Belichick would draft this dude in the 5th round of the draft. And he's like, sometime this season, right? Sometime this season, we're gonna have a 3rd and 7, and I'm gonna need somebody that's gonna be able to cover the running back out of the backfield. That's gonna be a for sure 8-yard gain for the first down. I just need a player just for that one play. Belichick could draft this cat, and sometime in the season, in the last half of the season or whatever, he'll have a play come up, and you'll have this dude that he just got from absolutely nowhere pull off this play. That's what Belichick. The Kansas City gets more, I guess, notable names, but Belichick used to do that, man. Made some stars out of some cats, dude. And that's one of the things I always used to admire about it, just coaching. Like he had somebody for every situation, right? Every situation. So, and the Chiefs, they do that. They've been picking up players. I mean, obviously, when it comes to damn, I just lost his name. Apologies. Anyway, power rankings, they got number 2, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, right? Coach McDermott said in a season-end news conference that teams need 2 or 3 players on either side of the ball who are difference makers, right? That's what the team needs. We'll see if they can get that. Detroit Lions at number 3 in the way too early power rankings for next season, right? At Detroit Lions, number 3 in the aftermath of the loss of the Commanders. Coach Dan Campbell, star-studded staff, took a major hit, and that's why I don't see how they're at 3, right? The staff is huge. It's massive. They lost a lot of coaching right there. But Detroit still lost other key assistants, former defensive Eric Glenn Hideaway. So we'll see what happens with them. But they got Detroit Lions at the power rankings at number 3. And the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles are at number 4, which is wild considering they just dominated in that game to see them at 4. But again, it's like way too early power rankings. Continue hitting the bullseye. General Manager Howie Roseman has had a very good batting average in recent off seasons. So obviously, with the Zach Bond, Saquon picking those guys up, see what happens when it comes to some of the key free agents that they need to sign. Roseman has a few key decisions in front of him, including whether to re-sign Bond to a lucrative contract. He's going to get it from them or from elsewhere. So they're going to have to pay that dude really, really showed that he's a stud this season, right? That's one of the reasons why they won the Super Bowl in the first place. So Baltimore Ravens, I got them at number 5. Washington Commanders at number 6. Green Bay Packers at number 7 in the power rankings. 8. The Chargers, Cincinnati Bengals at 9. Minnesota Vikings at 10. Houston Texans at 11. And to round out the top 12 is the Los Angeles Rams. Let's go 49ers 13. Let's see where our Falcons are on this list of way too early power rankings. They got us at number 19. Atlanta Falcons, they need to fix the defense, right? Offense was pretty good last season. I know there's a couple games that the defense actually sort of gave that thing away, and I've talked about it at length as we went through the season. That was the Falcons' mantra after signing quarterback Kirk Cousins last offseason. But they ended up drafting another quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., with the number 8 pick, and he was the only rookie who had a major impact. Atlanta acquired edge rusher Matthew Judon and safety Justin Simmons, who are now free agents, but its defense was lackluster enough that it fired first-year coordinator Jimmy Lake, right? We got our boy back from the Jets. Defense must be the priority through free agency in the draft. Atlanta has the 15th overall pick, and it ranked 31st with 31 sacks last season, right? So I went over that a bit. But, yeah, man, the Falcons, man, look. Obviously, we saw right there who is looking like they might pick in this thing with the number 15 pick, which, Mike Green, edge rusher, again, from Marshall, led the nation in sacks last season. So that'd be somebody. If he's still available on the board, that would be the perfect pick. But again, last season, we were all surprised by the top 10 picking of Michael Penix Jr. when they had just got Kirk Cousins. And I think right now we're starting to see where that thing is unraveling. So no new news on that front. I remember I mentioned last week when Kirk Cousins said he had an injury and things of that nature. I think he's just trying to slide up out of Atlanta because he's not going to be the starter, and he'll be sitting on the bench making all of that dough. So again, we'll see. And then another article right here from Tori McKinney from on the Falcons website, talking about what is on the Falcons 2025 offseason checklist. Obviously, well, there's no way around this when the Falcons have to take a long and hard look at their defensive production and consistency. I've just been talking about that same thing, or the lack of, in 2024 and how to rectify it in 2025. They've already started the process at the top, replacing Jimmy Lake with Jeff Ulbrich, as I talked about last week, the defensive coordinator. The next step is player evaluation and soon player acquisition. And everyone knows what the Falcons' number one priority has to be this offseason in the bucket of the ladder. Atlanta has to bring in pressure players who wreak havoc immediately. And that's what they need. I mean, if you look at last season, a couple of the games where the game sort of got away from them, their defense wasn't able to shut things down when they needed key stops and needed the ball back, or just to protect a lead, right? So, this is all saying the same thing. Everything you find talking about what the Falcons needs this offseason, it's pass rush, man. Defensive players, they need that. They need that, especially when you're trying to keep up with pretty explosive offensive teams in your division like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Panthers, who have shown they can put up some points, man, against the Falcons with the lackluster defensive play. And so you've seen things like that happen. And if you're trying to keep up with those teams, because look, I think that the Panthers get better. I think Bryce Young improves. I've always talked about Bryce Young as saying that, like, people were talking about there's a mistake. They should have drafted C.J. Stroud. Really? C.J. Stroud came to a better situation. I mean, obviously, the dude's a nice young stud quarterback, right? Made the playoffs first 2 seasons. His team is better. His team is just better than Carolina's, right? So you say Bryce Young, I think, showed a lot of flashes this season of how good he could be under center and behind center. And so I think with those teams playing well, and then you have the Saints out there who knows what they're going to look like with new head coach Kellen Moore. But the Falcons got to keep up with them dudes, man. Let alone the Eagles, the Commanders, let alone these other teams in the NFC that are stout, right? Playoff caliber teams, right? The Rams, all these teams, right? So it's defense. And that's what I thought, again, like they were going to go with last season. And to my shock, boy, hearing Michael Penix's name in the first round with the Falcons' first pick was a really WTF moment for your boy. I'm just being honest. Like, it was really a whoa, what just happened, right? So, yeah, defense for the Falcons this offseason. Hopefully that's what they go with. They need it, and also they're gonna have to look at trying to re-sign some of those free agents, Judon and stuff, and try to find some talent out there that's some of these teams might be moving on from, that you might could pick up for a deal that can help the team, man, on the defensive side of the football, right? So, with that being said, we're gonna take a quick break, y'all. When we get back, we'll talk about a little bit of Braves. You are watching Georgia Sports Central on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at iSports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Rate, here to give ya what you want, here to give ya what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Georgia Sports Central on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all things out of sports. It's your boy ACS. It doesn't feel like every time I talk to you, I got something scraggly in my throat, man. The weather down here sucks, bro. It's just bad time of year, man. It's every time. It goes from at the end of this week, it's supposed to be in the 20s, the high 20s. It's been the 70s the past. It's just terrible. It's just terrible, man. It does a number on your boy, man. Like I already told you, I guess you could tell from how often I feel like I got something going on. Like I got some like a bitch ass immune system. Yeah, it pretty much. Yeah. Your man's getting old, man. Your boy getting old. Anyway, let's jump into some as I talk about let's talk about some Braves, y'all. Let's jump into some Braves baseball, man. Little bit of news. I seen predicting the Braves opening day roster. Obviously, at the end of this month, we got spring training starting. I've been seeing some social media stuff from the Braves talking about, there's one of them said good afternoon, and it showed a picture of the field in Florida. And I was like, yo, it's time. It's getting close, y'all. We're getting close. It's time. Some of the players coming back this season. Exciting, man. Exciting. Even with the Dodgers being as potent as they are, even with other teams, making more moves. It's exciting, man. We got some players coming back, bro. Some players coming back. You know, and so I mean, last season when it came to the Braves, obviously, you know, there was a lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries. A lot of players missed a lot of time. And when you're a team like the Braves has been built and put together, you need sometimes you can't afford things like that, losses like that. And then when Acuna went down, it was just like, oh man. And I mean, we got it. We snuck into the playoffs last year. Made a little bit of noise, but I think overall, I think this season, I think people it's people look at the Braves, right? And Braves fans such as myself, where it looks like what up, Larry? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. And it looks like if everyone, and this is cliche stuff, right? This is what they say. if everyone is available on game day, I think I like the Braves' chances. Again, honestly, the Dodgers are, and they kept signing players, and they're this big, gigantuan type team that and they just won the World Series, right? So that's probably them. And the Phillies for us too. The Phillies obviously have done some damage to us in the postseason. We've done some damage to them as well. You know, I'm gonna take. You know, we dealt our fair share of damage to the Phillies. Obviously, that's a rival for us. But it says right here, we got ourselves a opening day tentative roster. This is what it's hopefully look like. It's a special time of year when we argue about who should fill the final bench and bullpen spots on an opening day roster. Let's take a look, man. Catchers, Sean Murphy, Chadwick Trump. First baseman, Matt Olson. Second baseman, the homie Ozzie Albies. Shortstop, Orlando Arcia. Third baseman, Austin Riley. Outfielders, Michael Harris Jr., Jurickson Profar, Jared Kalenic, and Brian De La Cruz. Obviously, once Ronald Acuna comes back, he'll probably join Harris and Profar in the outfielder. So Kalenic could probably be a primary right fielder, but he could platoon with the right-handed hitting De La Cruz. DH, man, designated hitter, man, Marcell Ozuna. Bench, Nick Allen, Luke Williams, utility sort of players. Starting pitchers, Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, Spencer Schwellenbach, Grant Holmes, and Ian Anderson. Relief pitchers, Iglesias, Pierce Johnson, Dylan Lee, Aaron Bummer, Bumar, Daysbell, Hernandez, Angel Perdomo, Anderson Pilar, and Danny Jimenez, right? So that's tentative, right? That's just what they think it could be. They're trying to predict the opening day roster. And this is right here, man. Acuna, Strider, Sale among big storylines in Braves training camp. Remember how quick you were ready to put an injury field 2024 season behind you? Yes, I do, because I was like ready right off the rip. We got put out of the playoffs. I was like, all right, let's get these dudes back healthy. Let's get back to some chop house, you know, the mood in there, right? So well, the pages turn in 2025 and Atlanta fans can reunite with the World Series hope that they had before a multitude of significant injuries wrecked last year's dreams. When will Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider return? Those are the biggest questions. Obviously, we know both superstars begin the season on the injured list, and we know both are going to push to be activated as early as possible. Strider has been completing bullpen sessions and may be permitted to throw in at least one game before the end of spring training, which would be nice to see for your boy, right? If he doesn't have any setbacks in his recovery from elbow surgery, he could rejoin Atlanta's rotation by the end of April. His progress throughout camp will create a lot of excitement. The same can be said about Acuna, who tore his right ACL near the end of May. There's a chance he won't return before the second half of May. Does he need a full year to recover? Well, maybe he tore his left ACL in July 2021 and returned by the end of April 2022. The 2023 NL MVP battled discomfort throughout that season, so it won't be surprising to see the Braves get their right fielder some extra time, especially if the Braves is holding on, right? We holding on a good spot. You know what I'm saying? Getting some nice checks in the win column to keep Acuna to the point, but not to say that we don't need him. Y'all always gonna need Ronald Acuna. There's no debating that. But if you can let that dude heal a bit longer and make sure he's not coming back with some of that discomfort that I just now read in that article that he had with the other ACL knee, right? That when he came back a little early, I mean, he was healthy, he got cleared, and he played pretty decently. But when you're talking about a player of that caliber, and if man, and this is a big if the Braves, like I said, if the Braves are winning games and it's one of those situations where you can hold off on bringing that kid back until that he's 100%. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they bring cats back a little bit before that just so they can get some on the field action, get their bodies moving and things of that nature. And I mean, there's plenty of videos out there of Acuna running, looking sharp, man, looking sharp, hitting some balls, catching some balls in the outfield. So, I mean, he's looking good. He's looking good. And again, they're talking about May when he might come back. So there's that. Let's move on to some Georgia. Talk about some Georgia dogs real quick. Let's see. A couple things here. Obviously, with the college football news, it's rush recruiting going on. I did like this, though. Shouts out Steve Spurrier, obviously, the old ball coach from Florida. Had some nice things to say, though, about Georgia, man, when it came to sort of last season and what went on. It says former Florida Gators head coach Steve Spurrier does not view the Georgia Bulldogs 2024 season as a failure. Neither do I. A couple of things there that were disappointing, obviously, if you're a fan like myself and like the rest of the people who live in this state who cheer for the Dogs. It's like, you know how the season ended and you saw sort of what losing to Notre Dame in the playoff after beating Texas in the SEC championship game. So we have to agree with Spurrier. Georgia won the SEC despite playing the toughest schedule in the country. It's been well documented how hard the schedule was, how many road games we had against very, very tough opponents. And we came out of those, we got some injuries. Came out of those with some not without any blemishes, right? We caught some L's out there to Alabama and stuff. Georgia beat the Longhorns in the SEC championship, we know that, and then they went 11-3 and lost in the Sugar Bowl to Notre Dame. But head coach Curly Smart really maximized the Georgia team. It says, Spurrier, man, nice words. Spurrier says you got some people out there saying Georgia didn't have a good season, and that's ridiculous. Said Spurrier in an interview with Dog Nation, Georgia fans should look back at the past to understand how good of a season it was. And I said that the whole time, right? Disappointing losses, but man, the competition, dude, going on the road like we did this past season was rough, man. And so you're going to end up with some things. Like if we had went through that whole season without getting beat, then you talk about one of the greatest teams in college football history. Because it was a schedule. It was a schedule, right? I said from 2006 to 2015, former Georgia head coach Mark Richt did not win a single SEC championship game. Trust me, we know. As much as we love Mark Richt down here in Georgia, man, he couldn't win some of the bigger, larger games that lay before him as Georgia's head coach for all of those years. And he had some nice players, man. He had some good teams, but he just couldn't get over the humps that laid out there, right? The Bulldogs have already won 3 SEC championships during the Kirby Smart era. 17, 22, and 24. Georgia did not even win an SEC title during the 2021 national championship season. Obviously, I remember that one. That's going to be a special one for Dogs fans. You know what I'm saying? Watching, Georgia get up on Bama and then that pick from Bryce Young right there sort of at the end to just seal it. And then and remember that season, we lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Heart-breaking type shit, right? And as a Georgia fan, the Georgia fan never forget that. And so when you're a Georgia fan and you follow a lot of Georgia sports stuff, every so often that thing will run across your feed. Every so often that video will run across your feed, that last few minutes of that national championship. And again, with the aforementioned pick from Bryce Young. And, you see Kirby and them say, get down. And Ringo's like, nah, homie, I'm taking this to the house, bruh. And he did, and that's a moment. Georgia fans won't forget that. Did you go to any Georgia fan and be like, "Hey man, what you feel about that?" That 2021 national title game. Tell me about how. And then one of the moments they'll always go back to is going to be that pick that sealed it, sort of. And I remember seeing that pick happen and watching it, and sort of not being able to say anything for about 30 seconds, thinking, "Yo, we're gonna beat these dudes." You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think when Georgia fan, I think the more important part was that we beat Alabama, not that we won the national title. That's great and all, but that was secondary to who we actually beat to win that thing. So, it's every year can't be championship or bust. Yeah, that's what Spurrier points out. As Smart is the only active SEC coach to win an SEC championship. He is. Georgia had to beat Texas, who was among the top teams in the country twice, and we did that. So, and I appreciate you, Steve Spurrier. Shouts out, even though you're a Florida guy. Nice words for the Dogs. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about the Super Bowl 6 former Bulldogs earned Super Bowl rings with the Eagles. Jordan Davis, you know what I'm saying? 2 tackles. Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Kaylee Ringo, and Louis Seen also suited up for Philadelphia during their team's 15th win of the year. Nakobe Dean, who obviously was injured, wasn't able to play in the Super Bowl, who finished second on the team during regular season with 128 tackles, was on the injured reserve list after sustaining a knee injury. He'll be back next season, I'm sure, strong. A total of 8 former Bulldogs were on the roster, making it 24 consecutive years that at least one former Georgia player has appeared on a Super Bowl team. Mecole Hardman, who had the game-winning touchdown catch in last year's Super Bowl, was on the Chiefs injured reserve list, while Malik Herring was also on Kansas City's roster. So shouts out to them dogs. Congratulations on putting some rings on them fingers, more rings than what you already had earned with Georgia. And it's a little bit news. It said Georgia football needs defensive lineman Jordan Hall and Xavier McLeod. Couple cats that transferred in last season that we're going to need to step up for the dogs this year, man. Going to need them cats to step up. Hall and McLeod have taken different paths to get to this point. Georgia's defensive line is going to look very different next season. Gone will be longtime stalwarts Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse, along with Tyrion Ingram Dawkins and Michael Williams. They're gone. So we're going to need those young cats to step up, man. Young cats got to step up. Got a little bit of Georgia Tech talk. Obviously, Georgia Tech moves in and got sort of new defensive coordinator coming in, and they themselves also had a player win themselves a Super Bowl ring. As we get into this, Georgia Tech hires Texas's Blake Gideon as new defensive coordinator. Georgia Tech has hired Texas assistant Blake Gideon as its defensive coordinator, the school announced. Gideon has coached safeties at Texas since 2021, helping his alma mater to a Big 12 championship in 2023 and back-to-back college football playoff appearances. He started 52 games at safety for the Longhorns and then spent time with 2 NFL teams. Gideon replaces Tyler Santucci, who left earlier this week to become the Baltimore Ravens linebackers coach. Santucci spent 1 season at Georgia Tech, which finished 67 nationally in points allowed last season. So, yes, new defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech right there. We'll see how that plays out. Obviously, I'm not hoping for the best as a Georgia fan, but, hey, man, it is what it is, man. It's Georgia Tech. Also, like I said, E.J. Jenkins became the 21st former Georgia Tech football player to win a Super Bowl on Sunday when his Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 in Super Bowl 59. A wide receiver at Georgia Tech in 22 who has converted to tight end as a pro, played on special teams in this game. After spending 2023 season on the Eagles, New York Jets, and Las Vegas Raiders practice squads, Jenkins was promoted to the Philadelphia's active roster in 2024 and saw action in 12 games, 8 in the regular season and 4 in the postseason, playing primarily on special teams, right? So, shouts out to Jenkins, man. You always love to see it, man. You see it, kids played, he's from Georgia Tech, played Georgia sports, played sports in Georgia, got to get themselves a ring. Playing for the Eagles, man. So shouts out, man. I'm sure that's like, the dude play good football at Tech, and this is probably looking like it's sort of like the highlights of their thing. Also, real quick news when it comes to Georgia Tech, their annual white and gold game is set for April 12th. White and gold game, spring games. If you're a college football fan, you know about them spring games. The red and black game for Georgia is also coming up. I think it's the same weekend as the Masters, which I don't know how Georgia fans feel about that, considering how massive the Masters is. I ain't talk no golf on here. Matter of fact, yeah, the Masters, I talk a little bit of golf, man. Your boy used to get out there on the links back in the day. No, I wasn't out there. I was out there, but I don't know if you want to call what I was doing playing. But I used to hack at the little white ball every now and again, man. I hadn't played in quite some time, but golf's nice. You never played golf. It's pretty fun. Grab yourself a 12-pack. And get out there on the course. They used to do that same thing. So, I talk a little bit about the Masters, man. Talk about the Masters. That is Georgia sports when that shit hits up in April. But, yes, white and gold game, Georgia Tech's annual spring game coming in April 12th, man. April 12th. All right, so let's move on, man. Some Hawks, man. Let's get on some Hawks before we wrap this thing up. Hawks, man, Trae Young added to the All-Star game. Obviously, I've talked about how big of a snub he's been in any guard in league history, NBA history. Averaging what he averages is normally an All-Star game participant. Maybe not a starter, but okay, I thought my computer froze up. I had a problem last week on one of the shows I was doing. My computer straight froze and it was bad, and I was like, yo, can't be having this type of nonsense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Hawks Trae Young added to the All-Star game as injury replacement. Atlanta Hawks guard Trae Young is headed to the NBA All-Star game. After all, Commissioner Adam Silver announced Monday that he has added Young to the All-Star roster as an injury replacement for Milwaukee forward Giannis Antetokounmpo, who will not be able to play because of a calf injury, right? So Young was originally displeased that he was not picked. I was displeased. Every Hawks fan should have been displeased considering what Young's been doing this year. Just leading the league in assists, right? Just all-time assists. And he hadn't even been in the league, but I can't remember how long he's been in the league, honestly. I need to get back on that. But he's been in the league a few seasons. But to be where he's at, I mean, yes, Trae Young is an all-star, man. He is an all-star and should be treated as such. So, excuse me again. And so, yes, Trae Young, man, making his way in there. Young joins a roster with a decidedly international feel. He'll play alongside Denver's Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, San Antonio's Victor Wembanyama, Indiana's Pascal Siakam, Houston's Alperen Sengun, and Karl Anthony Towns. Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell. Young leads the NBA in assists per game by a significant margin. Significant. He entered Monday averaging 11.4, well ahead of Jokic's 10.3 per game, right? This is the second consecutive year Young was added to the roster as an injury replacement. He also made all-star appearances in 2020 and 2022. It's expected that at least one more injury replacement pick will be made by Adam Silver because we saw. Matter of fact, real quick, talking about NBA. It's crazy in Dallas, right? It's crazy with the Mavericks, isn't it? That trade, which I talked about it last week, how incredibly insane it was to even happen. And after the trade happened, after you saw Dallas fans out there in front of the stadium, in front of the arena with caskets, bruh, and all of these things that were going on, and then, and the GM for the Dallas Mavericks having to up his security because of the fans, how mad they were about that. And then to add all the insult to injury that you possibly can add to it, Anthony Davis goes down in his first game. But let me tell you, man, if you could not write anything as incredibly insane as this has been, right? You could not write something like this, right? So, not to get into it too much, but Dallas Mavericks fans, shouts out to y'all, man. Good gracious, good grief. That is not the Davis going down right after that trade. Man, come on now. Come on, that is insane. But yes, he's Silver's expected the commissioner expected to make another announcement for another replacement because Anthony Davis, who was an all-star, he left his debut with the Mavericks, what I just mentioned, with an injury on Saturday. Davis is set to play on Team Shaq. The other all-star selected the game on Team Kenny, Minnesota's Anthony Edwards, New York's Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Williams, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley. So yeah, that rounds it out. But Trae Young, shouts out, man. Finally made the all-star roster. Should have been on there initially. I don't think he's that loved. I don't see him being voted in from the fans just because Trae Young could come off. If you're not an Atlanta Falcons or Atlanta Hawks fan, he could come off a bit brash, right? You know what I'm saying? With the ice cold shivers, right? But he should have been an all-star. We should have been an all-star. I think a lot of people would agree on that. Apologies, real quick. Apologies, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. My nose was significantly running pretty bad. Yeah, let's start. All right, real quick. The Hawks, man, speaking of them, they're on a 3-game winning streak. After I was telling you about last week, they was on an 8-game L streak as they went against the Spurs. That night, when it came to let's get over here to the when it came to that game that they had sort of tipped off before I wrapped up the show last week. They ended up losing to the Spurs. A very close game. Wemby hit a free throw when the score was tied and put them up by 1 point, and then missed the second free throw very wisely, which didn't leave the Hawks weren't able to take the ball out, right? They had to get the rebound, and there just wasn't enough time there. So Trae Young had to throw up a sort of 3/4 of the length shot, and it was just off the mark just a bit. But yeah, man, the Hawks, man, 3-game winning streak, man. Last 2 games, 125, 111 win over Washington, and then over Orlando, man, which puts them in second place in the Southeastern standings, half a game back of Miami, right? Actually got a pretty kind of a better record than Miami. We're 26-28. They're 25-26. We got a couple more losses than they do, so that puts us out of first place. But, man, it's good to see, man. It's good to see that the Hawks bounce back from that streak because, like I said, they were 1-9 at a point this season, which is kind of disgusting to lay your eyes on. But, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? So they just half a game back. Real quick, trade deadline. Trade deadline was last week. Sort of, I didn't get a chance to talk about it because the deadline and the Hawks really hadn't made any moves, but then they did, right? DeAndre Hunter, man, hated to see him go, man. He's starting to really show some potential this season. Was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, and they swapped 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 second-round pick from Cleveland, a 2028 first-round pick, and a 2029 second-round pick, Cleveland owned, and a 2031 second-round pick, Cleveland owned, right? So we got some picks. We got some nice picks for him in the trade. I think we wanted a lot more from Cleveland. They weren't willing to give up some of the young pieces that they want to build around for their future, which is understandable, I guess. But, you know, it is what it is. So as we sit here right now, you know, we got a little squad, 3-game winning streak. Let's see where this unfolds. And that was after the trade. So let's see, we're moving in the right direction. Let's see who else. The Atlanta Hawks assigned Mohamed Gaye to College Park Skyhawks to the G League. Houston Rockets, the draft rights to Alpha Kaba were acquired by the Atlanta Hawks from the Houston Rockets in exchange for Cody Zeller and a 2028 second-round pick, Houston's own. So, let's see, required by Atlanta Hawks. Also, Bones Highland, Terrence Mann, and the TPE were acquired by the Atlanta Hawks from the Los Angeles Clippers in exchange for Bogdan Bogdanovic and a 2025 second-round pick, a conditional 2026 second-round pick, and a 2027 second-round pick. Bogdanovic has been injured pretty much this whole season, so I mean, he's been in Atlanta for a while. I hate to see the cat go, but like I said, he hadn't really played much this season with the injuries and things of that nature. So, yeah, that's it, man. That's pretty much it. Obviously, still Capella still hurt. Larry Nance Jr. is still out, and Vit Krejci is still also out. But again, 3-game winning streak against the New York Knicks is live. Let's see what the score is looking like against New York. 16-20. As you know, New York has been clapping cheeks as of late. So we like to see us catch a dub right there. But in the first quarter, 16-22, live game update from the Hawks, man, at the New York Knicks. I'm sure next week we'll talk about how that game ended, because obviously I'm about to wrap the show up. But as always, it's been a pleasure. As always, it's been a pleasure. This has been Sports Central from IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all things that are sports. I am ACS, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday, man. You guys have a great week. Rough weekend, no sports, no football all weekend. Are we going to make it? I hope so. Peace out.